So Celinda, you raise your hand. I appreciate you doing that. How can
Hey.
we support you?
Hey, so because I'm on from my phone this time, I can't make calls right now. I got on here for the energy because I had a few things happen in my life that I got a little off track, but this is the thing that I really want to focus on. I was making calls. I needed to be making more calls, broker calls. But the only thing I'm concerned about, I'm discovering that I'll pretty much need to start with wholesaling the multifamilies, and I'm just, will that work out? Like, do I need, as far as me calling brokers and wholesaling, or does it have to be,
Yes.
like a red fire
Right.
deal?
So unlike single family, it's not likely going to be a scenario where you are putting it under contract yourself and then assigning that contract to somebody else, right? If you find a deal, you got to learn how to do the napkin underwrite. You do the napkin underwrite, you think it makes sense. Then you come to this group, right? Ed and I are working together trying to buy property. We're happy to look at it. You bring us a deal that we buy, you will earn a fee for doing that. There's a whole host of buyers on this call, right? It's not just Ed and I. In theory, right? Every single person on this call wants to buy multifamily real estate. So keep coming back here. Come back on Sunday night. This is where you're going to find your partners. This is where you're going to find your team. That reminds me, Eddie. See, Eddie's not here. I'm missing Eddie. He always talks about, change your name that on display, right? I like to put my location, right? So for anybody in Georgia, you see that I'm in Georgia, let's connect. Let's go have coffee, right? If you're in South Carolina and somebody else is in South Carolina, you guys need to connect. You get connect with people that are close to you geographically, connect with people that say something that resonates with you. And they don't have to be geographic. We can connect on Zoom one-on-one. We have a million ways to connect, but get connected with other people in this group. Set up one-on-ones, set up phone calls. Text people while you're on here. Hey, I see you on the broker outreach Zoom. I heard you're making phone calls. Can we get on the call for 10 minutes? This is where your team will be built, in these Zooms, in this community. But definitely, if establish those relationships with those brokers. They're bringing you deals, the deals that look like they pencil out. Bring them to the group. We'll find a buyer and we'll get you paid. No doubt.
Okay. Thank you.
Ed and I are constantly looking at deals. We're underwriting deals that we know we won't buy because it's just not in a market where we want to be, right? But there are buyers for every market, so you can definitely wholesale a deal. No question.
Okay.
And then I do have some experience with this, and if sorry to interrupt, I would like to provide some insight.
Go right ahead.
The fastest way you can get a broker to not talk to you is by them thinking you're a wholesaler, hands down, right? They just don't want to deal. They just don't want to deal with them, and they want to deal direct to buyer. And so the biggest problem I'm seeing in this space right now is you're seeing a lot of wholesalers who are trying to market these deals, but they don't have them under contract, which, technically is not legal. But at the same time, people are just, getting deals that they find from brokers, whether they're off market or off market, putting it in Facebook. And then you get these email chains from many different wholesalers just adding outrageous fees to deals. And it creates a really, really, really bad name for wholesalers in the multifamily space. And so from my personal experience, because when I first started out, that's exactly what I was trying to do. It really doesn't help you build your reputation with brokers at all. And so what I would suggest, exactly like Peter was saying, leverage other people's credibility. Say you're working with a group and then approach these brokers. Have a group to work with first and bring the deals to that group, because the second you get labeled as a wholesaler by these brokers is the second you're probably not going to get those second and third phone calls back from them. And that's just my personal experience. I've seen plenty of people who have been successful doing it, but they have a reputation that they're an established wholesale firm that probably did a lot in single family, and everybody knows them. Cody Sperber and Brian Apples out in Phoenix are a good example of that. They're networked in with people like Grant Cardone and Vina Jetty. And so when a deal comes from them, people know that they're likely going to get the deal closed if they're doing it as a wholesale situation. So that's just my 2 cents on the scenario.
So I want to jump in quick because I get
Go ahead.
a lot of deal flow from different people, and you lose credibility when you send something that someone has already seen or someone else is sending. So I 100% agree. Like, I will not look at people's emails or take it seriously because they sent me so much BS. Also, I'm not as interested in a deal if I seen the same deal sent to me by 3 different people with the copy paste email. And especially if I've already seen it, like it's happened. In 1 hour, I'll get the same deal 4 times, 4 different people, 4 different fees, 4 different prices. And then I'll call the broker and they're like, what are you talking about? We're closing next week. And I'm like,
Right.
what are you wasting my time for? But real quick, I want to backtrack like 2 seconds. I put 2 links in the chat. They kind of got lost with some posts, but they're both Google Docs. One of them is a form to fill out and put your information in. The second one is the directory that it goes to. So essentially what you're going to do, fill out the information you're comfortable with putting out there. The second one is the Excel sheet, which all the information gets collected in. So that way you can network with other people who are not on this call as well. What we're trying to do is to create a multifamily freedom chasers directory where everyone can share contacts. You have everyone's phone numbers and emails and information, whatever you're comfortable posting, of course. And that way we can stay in touch. If you need something in a certain area, you know where you can go to find some help, or find someone who might be interested, or find some buyers, So that's something we've implemented. Please use it, check it out. If anything's not working, let me know. I'm the one who created it, so I have access to change anything. So always open to suggestions, and yeah, check that out. So thank you for the insight, Ethan. I definitely agree with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ethan, I wanted to reiterate that. I really appreciate you mentioning that. And that's something when people ask about wholesaling, I need to make sure I hit that angle right. You never want to tell a broker that that's your intention. You can tell us here, right? You can tell us here anything. This is a safe space, right? Ask all the stupid questions you want to ask, right? There's no such thing as a stupid question. The stupid thing is not asking the question you have, because there's somebody else in the room that has the same question you have, no matter how stupid it seems to you. And it's, yeah, wholesaling is a bad word in multifamily, a really bad word, right? You are not wholesaling. You are part of a team. And this is right here. There's 32 people on this call. You are one of a 32-person team here today. You are working acquisitions for this team. You have multiple teams that could buy your deal. So you are, if you are reaching out to brokers, building those relationships, getting the documents you need, getting that T12, getting that rent roll, and doing the napkin underwriting, you are an acquisitions member of my team, period. You are on a team, and you don't want to be part of my team because I haven't bought any deals yet, right? You are part of Ken G's team. You are part of the Freedom Chasers team. They have done deals. They have credibility of closing a deal, right? There's leverage the credibility of the team that you are networking with, connecting with, and learning from. You are a wholesaler in this world. You are not a wholesaler when you're on the phone with those brokers. So thanks for pointing that out, Ethan. That is a huge point. If you take nothing else with you today, take that with you for sure.
Yeah, no worries. And sorry, one more point. If there are any wholesalers in here, like you said before, do not try and attempt to get these things under contract and do an assignment of contract. You'll just muddy the waters in the deal. There are so many things that go into putting a purchase and sale agreement and retrades and all sorts of different price adjustments and just little DD documents that you don't have experience with yet. And you need to just, in my experience, because I've actually done a wholesale deal where I've made 6 figures plus on multifamily, you do a fee agreement with the buyer and you step out of the way, right? You let them handle all the negotiating. If they need to do price adjustments, they do price adjustments. Because on the first deal that I did, I mean, I kid you not, there was lawsuits against the property management company. The HOA didn't allow for rezoning. There was an immigrations contract that had to be voided with the city. So many things that again, you don't want to deal with this. You want to let the buyer handle that or the group you're working with. And so the mindset that I'm having to try and, get people to shift away from is that they need to get these things under contract, which cost a boatload of earnest money, which many of you or many of us, at least when I started, didn't have. And it's just easier to work with a group. So that's another aspect of the wholesaling world, that if that's really what you want to do, I would just suggest bringing the deals to a group and then, getting some sort of agreement into play, just, be reasonable about your fees, and then, learning how they handle the close. And that actually will set you up for success moving forward to do your own deals.
Can I jump in real quick? Ethan, I'm gonna pick your brain a little more. From your experience and having done the wholesaling side of things, what is a realistic fee from your end for someone, especially on the newer side who's trying to learn more hands-on? What's a realistic fee for an expectation?
1 to 2%. You see all these emails that are like 3%, price plus 3%, price plus 4%, buyer's fee. And whenever I get an email that says, price or whatever the price is plus 3% buyer's fee, I really don't even take a look at it. And in most cases, like, as much as this sucks, and I don't mean to, if anybody's a wholesaler in here, I don't want to piss anybody off, but I will find the address of the property, call the owner, and I'm like, what's the situation with this deal? Who are you working with? And most of the time, they won't even know any of these wholesalers. And so I'll just end up working directly with the seller. And it's because they set the fees too high. There was one time I was looking at a hotel here in Atlanta where this guy got it under contract, or he didn't have it under contract. He marketed the hotel as multifamily, and his fee was like $1.8 million on a $2 million hotel. That's the kind of thing that will ruin your reputation very, very, very fast. I mean, $150,000, $200,000 on an $8 million deal is reasonable, right? And so that's, just to kind of put things into perspective, there's an $8 million hotel that we closed. I made $150,000, right? That in my opinion was very reasonable. And now I have, a group that, I was able to do more deals with and am now partnering with on deals because I developed a really good relationship with them.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you. Thank you all.
See, I'm not the only one that says that.
I actually have another question.
Go for it.
So, of course, I know that we collect the T12, the rent rolls, the OM, but sometimes I get ones where they don't have all the documents. So I'm really just, I'm fresh with this napkin underwriting. I think I'm doing, well enough with understanding how to do that part. But of course, if I don't have all the documents, nobody really hardly wants to look at it. And I don't know, how to create it. Is there any way, that I could find out and hopefully I can replay that Vincent, Zoom that I missed. But I don't know if he went into it on that. But any tips on that?
I can touch on that. Definitely don't create it yourself for 2 reasons. 1, you don't have all the info. And 2, if you're getting a loan, which most of the time you are, unless there's an assumable loan in place, those documents have to come from the seller. So even if you try to do it yourself, I would say, don't even think about that, first and foremost.
Okay.
Now, depending on what you do have, you could still gather some information on it. And also depends how well you know the area, or the person that's looking at purchase in that area knows it. Like I use Rent-A-Meter for a lot of my rental comps just on the preliminary end. That's definitely not my end all be all. Like if I'm serious about purchasing a property, I'm not going to rely on Rent-A-Meter, we'd like to do a little more hands-on work on that end. But in terms of real rental comps that we're confident in, that we know we found ourselves, but we do use Rent-A-Meter as a guiding point. So knowing that alone, you have an idea of what the potential is, right? So I've kind of created my market rents. Rent-A-Meter is not great side of things, so that's one reason why I don't rely 100% on that. But it is good with giving you a general ballpark, and you can always play it safe with that. So in addition to that, it just comes down to what do you have? Do you have a T12? Cool. Do you have a rent roll? Okay. Like, do you have the OM? OM will usually summarize both of those if it's a broker. And then also remember this, and this is a conversation to have with a broker. If you are going out to get a new loan and they aren't giving you any of this stuff, just tell them, hey, a lender is going to need this stuff anyway. So if you want to get this deal closed, we need it. And if they're playing hardball, be like, all right, cool, like figure it out. I think in the multifamily space, and I'd like anyone else to jump in and like add to this if they have a different opinion or if they want to add to it regardless. I'm more likely gonna say no to a broker and just like, hey, stop wasting my time if they're not serious about what they're doing. You know, like if they're saying, oh, I don't have this, or I can't give you this, or I need this first, or the broker that tells me they need a proof of funds makes me want to pull my hair out, and that's saying a lot because I really enjoy, I really don't want to do that. But I think Peter has a broker call.
That's going well, thanks. I was calling you about the 18-unit multifamily property you have down in Edgewood.
Yeah.
Is that still available?
Technically, yes.
Okay. So you're in conversations, obviously.
Correct.
Okay. Well, so I'll be honest, it's not, we're looking for larger properties, but we don't have any assets in Atlanta yet. And this is where I live. This is where 3 or 4 other people on my team live. So, well, we're really looking for the most part, 100 units plus. We're considering, 40, 50 unit buildings as well. And, we can piece together 2, 3, 18 unit buildings and we'll be where we need to be. So I like the area. I like the look of this property. So I thought I'd call and get some information from you. I didn't dig into it at all before I called you because I didn't want to do that, not knowing if it was under contract. It's asking.
Yeah, what are you guys looking for exactly?
Yeah.
Stable out deal or value add?
We're looking for value add. We're not overly excited about super heavy lifts on the rehab, but we'll do it. We'll do some renovation for sure. We're definitely looking more for opportunities where there's, mom and pop owners, management has just really been lacking. Rents are below market, that sort of thing. So definitely more on
Sure, whatever.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And that's why we.
It's not like some huge value add place. You probably get it up to 7 cap. You're gonna spend money to renovate it.
Okay. What's the occupancy currently?
Kind of irrelevant. I mean, I'll tell you why it's irrelevant, but it's probably around 80%.
Okay.
It's irrelevant because the owners are purposely letting units become vacant as they go.
Gotcha.
Turnover.
Yeah. Are they renovating them currently or no?
They've renovated 2, but we've been in serious conversations about selling it. They've been holding off. So that's why the units are just being vacant.
Okay. So it sounds like they're definitely going to sell, I assume.
Yeah,
Okay.
they want to. Now, if it doesn't pan out with this group or one of the other ones that nationally, then they'll start renovating these, they'll keep it. They don't need to sell it.
Yeah. Okay. Are they
They're pretty firm at that ask as well.
okay? That was the other thing I was going to say. Are they actually market sellers or are they just stuck on their price? So,
And then, I mean, 3-2 is probably too,
okay. And
so they come off 100.
what's the NOI currently?
I don't have that in front of me anymore.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
But
so
again, also irrelevant, also irrelevant.
Yeah,
because the rents of the market.
they
They
are
got
below,
vacant.
how far below market do you think they are?
Well, I think if you renovate these nicely, you can get up to probably close to 1,500 or more.
Okay,
But, you know, you've got, some of those rents are still like 1,200.
okay. All right, sounds good.
I think the highest they've gotten on a non-renovation.
Is 13?
Yeah.
Okay, do they have any at 16 now or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. Does the owner have any other assets they'd be interested in selling?
Yeah, I mean, all of them are, none of them are really value add.
Okay,
They're all gonna be stabilized.
is stabilized and renovated or all stabilized at the top of the market? I mean, do you think there's any room?
Stabilized, renovated, top of market.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's not gonna be,
You guys own thousands of units, they're pros. They're
Yep.
not getting-
yep. Yep, understood. That's probably not gonna be what we're looking for. So, I'll tell you what, let me, can I get the T12 on the website or? Is
Yeah, well, you can, you gotta fill out a confidentiality agreement. Want to email me?
okay,
I can go with you, later today.
all right, what's your email address?
Sure, it's Andy@bullrealty.com. ANDYFDULL.
Yep. Got it. Okay. I will send you an email right now and connect with you about this one later. Appreciate it. Do you have any other off-market deals you're working on, Andy?
None of them are value add.
Okay.
I mean, that's got like a light value add deal at each point.
How many units?
That one is 50,
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
I don't know anything else.
And
Value add.
do you work strictly in the Atlanta market?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Because we're looking in Kentucky, Tennessee. Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Well, we're looking in other markets as well. So if you get new, but I'll reach out to you periodically so we can, till we get to know each other. Maybe we'll go grab a cup of coffee one day. What part of town do you live in, or where's your office? Where do you usually spend most of your time? Brookhaven. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Love to grab breakfast with you in the next couple of weeks if you got time.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Andy, I
Yep.
appreciate it. I'll send you that email and we'll see if it makes sense for us to put an LOI in on this deal.
Sounds good.
All right, Andy, appreciate it.
All righty, great. Thank you.
Thanks. Take care. How was the volume on that one? Could you guys hear that okay? Good. Good. Awesome. All right. So, talk to me. How does that help you? Does that help you guys? What did you like? What should I have done different? Give me some feedback. Not you, Ed. Not yet.
I'm holding off.
There you go. So Linda, you're smiling. What do you got to say?
I liked it. I like when you asked about how far below market are they? For some reason, I didn't think about asking that when that comes up. I just thought it was a nice flow, but that was one takeaway that I got. But I think you built good rapport. So even if this property isn't a fit, you still can, build on that relationship.
Right. And that's a great point, right? At the end of the day, am I really interested in this property? Yeah, I am, because I know this part of the city. It's a great area. I'd love to own assets over there. Am I going to steal any over there? It's going to be tough, right? But heck, if this thing cash flows, it might be worth it. It's going to be tough because 18 units, I'd have to manage it, right? I can't afford to pay a manager. I don't need another job. I got too many jobs already. I need to get rid of a job. I don't need to add a job. We're trying to buy cash flow. That's why we're doing this, right? So it'll be tough. But again, I asked about, do they have other assets, right? And he told me what I needed to know, right? The chance of me buying 100, 200 doors from this seller, not very good, right? These guys are going to sell to insurance companies that have billions of dollars to invest and are happy to make 4% on those billions of dollars, right? I need to make 8% or better, at least 7%. I can't compete with those insurance companies, right? So they're probably not going to be my seller, but he knows my name now. I'll follow up with him so I could stay top of mind for him. And I'm gonna have to keep following up and bug him and talk about off market until he finally says, okay, I'm tired of this guy calling. I'll give him a shot on this off market deal, right? Because that's the other challenge. When he gets an off market deal, right? If he gets an off market deal this afternoon, he might call me. He might think because he just spoke to me. But if he gets one next Tuesday, he's going to call somebody that he's been doing business with for the last 10 years. Right? He's not going to call me. So I'm going to have to go buy him a cup of coffee, buy him breakfast. And I suggest breakfast because I hate doing lunches because it breaks up the whole day, right? I love to do breakfast. So then I can get back to the office and I can spend the rest of the day doing what I need to do. Anyway, so for those of you who have been here before, some of the people that I end up talking with, they're super warm, they're super friendly, especially right now, because they're all scrambling to close deals, right? So they're willing to talk to you. And they just give you tons and tons of information. Andy was not going to give me a lot of information today, right? It wasn't free flowing. I had to pull it out of him. One question that I normally ask is, tell me the story behind the property. And I didn't even bother getting there because I already got the story, right? They're letting them go vacant. They really don't care. They've got their price. They're going to sell at that price. If I come to them and say, well, hey, here's my underwriting. You've got 20% vacancy. Here are the current rents. Your property, and I don't know the math yet, right? But my guess is the math on this is going to say this building's worth about 1.8 to 2.2 right now. Right? I'm not going to pay you for what it's worth a year from now after I renovate it and put tenants in. But that's what they want, more than likely, right? But who knows? You never know. I'll look at the numbers. If we can make the numbers work, they're willing to. He says 3.2, but what if we decide we wanted it 2.8? It's not that far off, right? Submit an LOI at 2.8 and you see what happens. Because it is a beautiful spot. The building I didn't look at the details, but the building looks pretty good. So anyway, I'll stop talking. Anybody else want to step up, give us your feedback, get known? That's the other thing that Eddie's really good about talking about, right? Guys, you need to get known in these meetings, right? Nobody's going to know who you are if you never talk. If you step up and give input, people are going to notice you. Anthony, thanks for raising your hand. What'd you think? What's your feedback?
Yeah, I put it in the chat. I liked your follow-up question. If this property didn't necessarily hit your buying criteria, you asked, are there any other off-market properties that I should be aware of? And you gave him your buying criteria, so he knew what you were looking for. So you kind of directed him right to a point where if he had something in mind right now, he could tell you. If he didn't, as you continue to remind him, he'll know what your buying criteria is and think of you. Because I think you came across as a credible individual that closes deals and that somebody serious that he could do business with. Now, where he is and the properties that he looked at and the fact that he doesn't go outside, he's kind of a local yokel right in that area. So he, you know, that's kind of was my initial impression.
Yeah, I agree. I think although I think he was mentioning at the end there that he does work in other areas. He just doesn't have anything right now. So I don't think he's exclusive to Atlanta. I think it's possible that he could bring deals in other markets. So, but you know, I'll reach back out to him for sure. I'll follow up. In fact, it's funny that you raised your hand because I noticed you're local here in Atlanta. So you and I need to connect as well. We need to go grab coffee. Maybe you want to come grab coffee with me with Andy if you're available next week. So I'm trying to, as I'm talking to you, I'm trying to find your number and it's cut off. I can't get the whole thing. I know if I go to chat and then click on your name.
I sent you my business card. I sent you my Blink business card to your number.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, there it is. I figured it out. If you go into the chat and then you try to send a direct message, you usually display the whole thing. So that's the other thing. Some of you guys may already know this. In the chat, down at the bottom, you see the emoji icon. There's 3 horizontal dots. You click on that, you can save the chat. That's a good thing to do. You can go back and get phone numbers, reach out to people, make connections, guys. That's how we do it. That's how we put deals together. Get to know other people in the group. You need to connect with other people for the support, for the encouragement, because this is hard, man. It's hard. You get beat up, you get frustrated. It's not like the single family world where you can go out there and, you know, send out some postcards and maybe get a deal. And it's not to suggest it's easy in the single family world, because it's not, right? It takes work, but it's a lot more doable to say, I'm going to close a deal in 30 days in the single family world. You could do what you need to do to almost guarantee that. In the multifamily world, that's a tall order to have. You know, you might have an LOI. You could submit an LOI in 30 days. You can submit an LOI in 30 minutes. But to actually be in serious conversation on a deal that you might buy takes a lot of work. So, Ethan, I know you got your hand up, but let's let Daryl share what he's got to share first, and then we'll take Ethan. What's going on, Daryl? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you guys. Sorry for being late. Just real quick. I
Never
thought the
late.
call was good. Appreciate it. I thought the call was great. As always, Pete, you have a keen sense in order how to navigate the situation, because how I interpreted how it started off, right? He was standoffish, to your point, not willing to kind of give that information about the property. Even when you started to say, well, hey, look, you know, this is kind of outside of what we do. We kind of normally look at, you know, 100 units plus. And so essentially he was trying to rush you off the phone. Like, oh, tell me what you're looking for, right? It seems like he was stuttering a little bit, but at least my connection was bad. He's like, well, tell me what you're looking for so you can just stop wasting my time, etc. But you slowed down, you pivoted like you always do so smoothly, and was able to kind of get that conversation to still flow with him giving more information about the property slowly but surely, to then end the call of, well, hey, look, you know, where are you located? Where's your office? You're in Brookhaven. Obviously, you're local. Let's grab, you know, coffee or whatever, you know, next coming weeks or so. So I thought a great way to close the call. And of course, you know, always asking that question of off-market deals, which they're also very reluctant on giving that information about as well. So another great one, man, in the books. So I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the kind words. You know, and well, Ethan, let's thanks, Daryl. I appreciate the feedback. Ethan, what did you have to offer?
Oh, I just wanted to see if whenever you guys are available, I have a broker call that I can make regarding a hotel that we're looking at in Houston, and they have another property that's a foreclosed Class A asset in Houston. Didn't know if you guys wanted to hear me talk to him real quick.
Oh, 100%. Are you kidding? You never have to ask
Absolutely.
that question. Just make the call. turn your camera on, wave your hands like a crazy person, and we will bring you up, baby.
Cool. I'm gonna leave my camera off, unfortunately, because I'm like using two phones at the same time, and,
No problem.
I'm in Macon, Georgia, parked at a rest stop right now. So,
Awesome.
but give me just 2 seconds.
I know that rest area well.
Oh yeah.
Are you
Cool.
heading southbound?
No, I'm driving back up from Savannah. Well, actually, I was
Okay.
at an event in Charleston, but took the long way around.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, no, please. I hope you get him. That'd be awesome.
Let's see. I was just on with him, so hopefully he picks back up.
Okay.
Real quick, one more thing I want to add to the call that I think it's important to ask is, always, if you can, find the opportunity to find out what the seller's intentions are after selling. Are they looking at
Great point.
1031? Are they looking to dilute a partnership? Are they breaking a partnership off and they have to sell? Do they want to take on a new project or new opportunity or new development, or they have an existing one they need funds for? All these things are important, especially when it comes down to the seller carry component. If you do, you should, in my opinion, always offer that. So knowing that, it's like, even if they say, oh, they want a 1031 into something, the follow-up question I always ask is, do they want to or do they have to? So that's two very different things. If you want to 1031 into something, awesome. If you have to do it because you don't want to pay the taxes on it, it's a different conversation.
And in this case, I didn't bother going down that path, only because he already told me
Yeah.
they don't have to sell. This is clearly not a motivated situation, which is okay, right? In the single family world, you pretty much have to have somebody motivated. They're not motivated, move on. In multifamily, they don't have to be motivated. As long as they're willing to sell at market and market current market based on current situation, right? A lot of sellers want to sell at market based on pro forma. Like, yeah, no, you don't get the price that it will be worth after I do all my work. That's not how this works, right? But there are sellers that, they don't have to sell, and that's what they want. And fine, next, move on, right? And they're going to continue, more than likely, they're going to continue to own the property for some time. And obviously, these guys are fine with that. They're not in a situation with so I guess Ethan has not managed to get them on the phone. If you do, Ethan, unmute. He may have turned his volume down. There he is.
Yeah, no, he didn't pick up. I tried calling him twice. He said he was available, so if he calls me back, I'll come back on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you can, whenever you do, even if it's outside of here, it'd be awesome if you could record that call if that's possible.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I mean, I plan on speaking with him later tonight regardless, because it's funny how things work out, right? I was out in Houston for a week looking at properties, and this was, I believe I had mentioned this hotel to you when we met in Atlanta. This is the hotel that we were underwriting. Turns out it's not as good of a deal as I thought it would be, just because we're going to have to, combine some of the units into one. And, at this point, it's pretty much providing the same returns as a traditional multifamily project. But he turns around, and as soon as I tell him that, he's like, well, I have this foreclosed 300 unit property for $40 million in, Southwest Houston. If you want to take a look at it, and that instantly, obviously piqued my interest. So he's getting the financials and everything, and we're going to review them later tonight. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what those conversations were looking like.
That's awesome. That, that's exactly what we're following here, right? We look for a property to have a reason to call these guys. But that's really not even, it's all about creating that relationship so we can get to the other deals that they have. So we can get to the deals that they're going to have 6 months from now, a year.
And exactly.
2 years.
And I was, when I was in Houston, I took him out for coffee. I paid for his coffee. We spent an hour together and shook his hand and got to know his whole story. Got to know that he was in a life-changing motorcycle accident, and, was now on a spiritual journey to try and, do multifamily real estate to help others. And, it's more about the relationships than it is about the deal, right? And the second that you get transactional and start focusing on deal oriented, thinking, that's the second that you come across as somebody who's very transactional, just no other way to put it, right? But if you are actually interested in having relationships with people and you maintain them, that's when they're like, oh, I've got a deal, let me send it to Ethan, I know that he's actually going to take care of me, get on, and like we can actually do things together, regardless of whether or not you've had transactional history with them. If you're focused on the relationship, you'll always be better off in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt. It's a great point. Obviously we need to get to the transaction, but we get to the transaction by forming the relationship.
Exactly.
100%. So I saw a hawk on here earlier. Has he disappeared? He probably has. He's probably at work. I don't see him now. But anyway.
How's it going? This is Ethan. I wanted to return your call and just have a conversation really quick with you, like I had previously mentioned.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I was getting 15,000 phone calls at once.
Yeah, no, I know how it is, man. You just have to filter it one by one, and it's hard to get back to you. Sorry it took me so long to get back to you. Like I said, I've been out of town twice since we last spoke, but definitely, yeah, just kind of wanted to recap, our thoughts about that hotel again. We're still underwriting it. For the most part, it's a 50-50 from us at this point, because we have to see what kind of cash on cash returns and IRRs the project's actually going to produce, using a combination of different financing strategies, using either preferred or combination of preferred and common equity. So if it does make sense, we'll obviously submit the LOI to Harpreet, and CC you on the email. But definitely wanted to talk more. Just recap. Tell me a little bit about that. That Class A property. I know you briefly mentioned it to me, but wanted to just kind of understand what's going on with that.
Yeah, okay. So I looked into this property probably about maybe a little close to a year ago, actually, when it first hit the market. And this is a Class A property, two separate buildings, all on one property. They call it phase 1 and phase 2 as the buildings were being built. So construction had finished probably beginning of 2020.
Okay.
Right around when COVID hit, right? So the building was supposed to be, and it is, a senior assisted living facility.
Yep.
One building is dedicated to senior assisted living. The other building is dedicated to independent senior living. Okay. When COVID hit is when it was finished. It was obviously supposed to lease up. Well, the owners didn't meet that objective because of COVID, and they got a bind. Long story short, the property was foreclosed. Going down the road, and that's where it's at now. So I believe the first attempt early on was to get it sold at an auction. It didn't sell. So then they ended up foreclosing. I think the foreclosure happened about probably 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. So who owns the property right now? Is it a bank or a lender, or what? Who's the group who ended up foreclosing? Okay.
They have it. It's not an institutional, like a Chase Bank or a Bank of America, nothing like that. It is they do hard money lending. They do bridge loans.
Yep.
It's for investment properties.
Now let me ask you another question, and I know that you probably don't know the answer to this quite yet because you haven't sat down and reviewed the financials yourself, and we'll dig into this later. But if you had to guess, I mean, are they trying to sell this at a market price that they are, they're calculating, oh, we've got a 5.5 cap, this is what the property's worth, or are they actually being reasonable and valuing this such that somebody could actually come in, finish the project, and actually have some meat on the bone here?
Well, the project is finished as far as construction.
Oh,
it's
okay.
a fully completed buildings. Okay.
Makes sense.
And yeah, I think they're asking prices based on a pro forma outlook regarding the level of built.
Yeah. Oh, they're insane. They're through the roof. However, it's
total Class A building. So their price point is coming from the pro forma outlook.
Well, the thing that, and sorry to interrupt you, the thing that might benefit us actually is because I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but senior living is actually valued at a higher cap rate, similar to hospitality. So if they're actually valuing it at senior living, it's similar to how we look at hotels, where you have a higher cap rate, so you're purchasing a different asset class. And if the bones in the shell of the building are there for Class A, that could be a really good opportunity, depending on obviously what they're trying to sell it for. So we'll need to look into this further. But I'm actually really intrigued with this, and if it makes sense, I know people that we could partner up with in the Houston area that could actually take down something like this. Again, if it makes sense, keyword. So yeah, let's go ahead. Sorry.
Fixing to schedule a tour. I'm going to go over there and take a look at it. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or the next day.
Oh, really?
But I've been communicating with the bank on it. I mean, not the bank, the lender that has it, the foreclosed, the owners at this point, right? I've been communicating with them to get some details about it. I'm trying to get them to send me the 4 layouts and the survey. Other than that, I've already visited the exterior of it, taken some pictures, things like that, but I haven't toured the interior.
100%. Well, do me a huge favor. I'm going to set up a Google Drive where, in the fashion where I usually underwrite my assets, it'll be broken out into pictures, financials, all relevant DD documents. If we could start going ahead and filling in some of this stuff into that drive, just so I'm able to properly take a look at this thing and underwrite it, I would be more than happy to, see if this is something we're interested in. Secondly, I'd love if you could, while you're there tomorrow, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to FaceTime you just to kind of see what's going on with this walkthrough, and take as many pictures. I know you will do this regardless, but take as many pictures as you can while you're there, man, because Houston, as you know, similar to like what we're talking about with hotels, because of the lack of zoning, it makes it a lot easier to take something like an assisted living facility and instantly run it as a multifamily property if that's the case. And being that it's Class A, oh my God, yeah, that's definitely another added benefit there. So cool, man. Well, I look forward to talking with you further about this once we've got some more information. But yeah, what time are you doing that tour and walkthrough tomorrow?
Well, I haven't scheduled it for
Oh, yeah.
tomorrow. I know I'm tied up on other appointments, but I got to get back with them and see what time works for me and them.
Okay, cool.
I'll definitely give you a heads up when I'm going to go over there.
Okay, cool. And if it makes sense, man, and I like it on the tour, I might even fly out myself and walk it just to kind of get a feel for it if that's something we can set up. But all right, man. Well, thanks for hopping on the phone. I appreciate it. We'll touch base a little later tonight, and we'll see if we can get something together.
All right, sounds good. Ethan.
All righty. Talk to you soon, Victor.
Take care.
Bye-bye. So yeah, that was an interesting call. The cool thing is, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Houston, and this is why I've been looking in Houston, spent a week out there. For hotel conversions, typically, or any asset conversion, you have to go through a rezoning process, which could take 7 months to a year, depending on where you're doing it. In Houston, they don't have zoning, right? And so as long as you're not restricted by what's there with the HOA or, zoning and building code, or not zoning, but building code issues, like for example, you might run into a hotel that needs fire sprinklers that doesn't have one, which could cost $1 million to put in, or you might not have enough parking spots for the density requirements. So you got to look into those things. But generally speaking, it's just a permit process you have to file. And if this building is already done and it's Class A, I highly doubt that there's going to be issues from a code perspective, because they were building it to the standards of a senior living facility. So this could be a very interesting opportunity, and I look forward to underwriting it and sharing it with you guys and seeing what you guys think.
It's awesome. Very cool. So I'd love to hear from the timing couldn't be better. We're at, an hour and a half goes fast, doesn't it? It's already 3:27. So we're at the end of our time, ready to wrap up. I'd love to hear from some other folks on what's your biggest takeaway from that? How is it helping you to listen to these calls? What did you learn? What could you do better? Who's got some feedback for Ethan?
I was just gonna say, like, he mentioned that he built a relationship, and when you build a relationship with these guys, then they're more open. Even if you haven't sent proof of funds and stuff like that, like, they're just gonna be more open with you because they feel like they could trust you. They feel there's something moving forward, and yeah, he was awesome. He killed it.
Awesome. How is this helpful to you, Christian? Is it helpful to you?
Yeah, no, it was super helpful. Just that other people are making those phone calls. I always needed to hear some calls like that to know, am I using the correct verbiage? Am I using the correct tone? And yeah, it helps me have a little bit more confidence, definitely making more phone calls.
Awesome. That's what I want to hear right there, right? We want to build confidence in people. And I agree with you. Just hearing other people, that's what did it for me initially, right? It was listening to other people make these calls, added confidence. And once I started picking up the phone and then continuing to come back to these meetings, right? And hear other people, what questions are they asking? What information are they getting? Once you have that confidence, it's really simple. It's just not, it's just allocating the time, creating the discipline, and making the calls consistently over time, because it's going to take time to create these relationships. Ed, what you got?
Yeah, so I want to make a point, and I think it's very important. Ethan, you don't live in Houston, correct?
No, I do not. I live in Sandy Springs, just north of Atlanta.
Lives right here.
Beautiful. So that makes my point. You know things about the area that, regardless of, at that point, you saying, oh, we need to fly there, or I don't live locally, they didn't care, because you know what you're talking about. You know the area, you know the rules, you know what opportunities there are and how you can capitalize on that, because you've done your due diligence and research on a market. You're not just, oh, I hope this works, or hey, this is a cool place, let me go check it out. And the broker feels like you're wasting their time. You're very knowledgeable about the market you chose, and you have now built the resources and the know-how to, like, okay, if I find XYZ, I know it's worth me entertaining and I can take it down.
100%. And the one thing to add to that, just a little bit about my background. I've literally been to probably 12 events across the country over the last year, networking with people like Mike Bailey and Schreier Khan with Massive Capital, and other people like that all across the country. It just so happens that they're in the Houston market. And so I've gotten to sit on multiple underwriting calls with them. And for example, I know that insurance in Houston, and especially in the part where that building is going to be about $1,400 a unit because of the hurricanes and freezes out there. And that, you've got sub-markets to look at where you could have historic vacancies of up to 12% using CoStar reports that you generate there, and just kind of getting a feel for the area. And so, the one thing I don't want all these people on the call to do is just try and go everywhere in the country and pick something. You really do have to understand the different metrics. But if you do take the time to learn what these different rules of thumbs in these different areas and build relationships across the country with people, you can get on calls and just very confidently start talking with these brokers and build relationships with them. And you don't sound like you don't know what you're doing, because if in your underwriting, you're assuming $400 a door for insurance for Houston, you're going to very quickly learn that that's not the case. But that comes from building relationships, going and getting your name out there, going to these events. And it also helps you with verbiage. You start hearing lingo that's thrown around that you've never heard. I heard the word retrade for the first time at this conference I was at in Charleston. Never knew what that was. Apparently that's the same thing as asking for like a seller credit on the end of, readjusting the price, essentially. So you're always a game of learning something new. And the only way you do it is by having conversations and building relationships.
And one thing I'll comment about that is you don't want to develop a relationship for retrading people. It happens. There are valid reasons for doing it, but retrading is when you're renegotiating terms at the end of the deal, right? And look, the market shifts, interest rates rise during the 60 to 90 days of due diligence. So there are often valid reasons, but if you're just the guy who every time you get to the closing table, you ask for a discount on the price for no particular reason, you will develop a reputation as doing that, and that's not the reputation you want, for sure. So retrading can definitely be a bad word in the multifamily space. So anybody else got any thoughts? Again, love to hear how this is helpful. I spent an hour last week making phone calls to brokers because of this call. We need to hear how this is helping you guys. And also, what do you want to see from us? What would be helpful? What can we do on these calls that's going to help you guys going forward? This is all for you guys. We want to make it as helpful as possible. We want to add, in the 90 minutes we have here, we want to add as much value as
Babe,
possible.
can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello?
Janine, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear you.
Sorry.
You might have. Oh, I think she was trying to talk to somebody else perhaps, but either that or she has her volume off and she can't hear us responding to her. But anybody else got anything before we head out? Nobody's gonna step up. All right, fair enough. I start calling on people if I have to. Junio, are you working? You just listening in the background? How come you're not talking to us? I need to hear what's going on with you. I need to know how your rentals in Pennsylvania are going. I need to know what you're doing to buy more assets.
I'm doing good, Peter. Actually, I am in the process now of applying for a loan to finish the building.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the summertime is coming, and in Pittsburgh, the summertime, the spring and summer is the best time to get the work started. So I'm in the process now to see if I can close something in the next 30 to 60 days.
Awesome. Awesome.
And then I can, consider refinance and take the money out to do something. So I am here listening and learning. So when I'm ready, and I'll get closer with you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Hey, I appreciate you showing up. I really do. That's
Yes.
That's awesome. It's good to see you here. So
Thank you.
I don't know how I got muted there, but I was just saying we're going to do like we always do. We're going to go out with a little high energy. If nobody has any other questions, we'll see you tomorrow night on the napkin underwrite. For those of you who can make it, we'll see you back here next Monday for more broker calls. Bring your friends. Send us messages throughout the week. Tell us about the success you're having. Tell us how this is helping you. That's super helpful for us. And we really just want to keep bringing value to you guys. So please do what you can to help us to do that. So as always, we're going to go out with some high energy and we'll talk to you guys soon.